So, as I mentioned earlier, Donald Trump continues to just be absent and missing as president. His schedule is clear every single day. Some days he'll have a private event like lunch with his own vice president, but Trump has essentially disappeared publicly. There's really no president right now. And fortunately, we're getting some leadership on the virus from Joe Biden, some leadership on climate from Joe Biden, who recently announced his climate team. Otherwise, we would really have no leadership at all in the United States right now. But being missing from the public did not stop Donald Trump from having a globally embarrassing outburst on Twitter over the weekend. Truly horrifying and shameful. Not talking about the spiking COVID deaths now, surpassing 3,000 a day. Not talking about his loss to Joe Biden, still hasn't conceded, but just continuing to spread debunked and baseless voter fraud lies. Now, we dealt earlier with the cyber hack from Russia, and a couple of Donald Trump's tweets over the weekend were about that, but I've already talked about those in another story. But the weekend was just rife with lies and pathetic red herrings and distortions from Donald Trump. Most of it focused around continuing to claim that he actually won the election. Trump tweeting a quote from right-wing propaganda network OAN, quoting an anchor there, I guess named Christina Bobb, who said, quote, "The lie of the year is that Joe Biden won." Now, of course, that's not true. And at this point, Trump will go anywhere. He will quote anyone who will say something that Trump wants to believe. Whether or not he really believes it, I don't know. Donald Trump then attacking his former national security advisor, John Bolton, by saying, quote, "What would Bolton, one of the dumbest people in Washington, know? Wasn't he the person who so stupidly said on television, Libyan solution, when describing what the U.S. was going to do for North Korea? I've got plenty of other Bolton stupid stories." Remember, Donald Trump ran on hiring the best people, and he hired John Bolton. And if indeed John Bolton is as stupid as Donald Trump has claimed him to be for years now, then it really says something about Donald Trump. Now, to be clear, Bolton can be stupid or smart and be a disaster politically. I happen to think John Bolton is not a dumb guy, but he's an absolutely horrible reactionary. I think Trump is actually wrong that Bolton's stupid. I think Bolton is a absolutely terrible person when it comes to policy, but I've seen no evidence that Bolton is actually stupid. Donald Trump then tweeting in all caps simply, quote, "Greatest election fraud in the history of our country." That's obviously untrue. And then Donald Trump retweeting a conspiracy theorist named Jim Hoft, known as the Gateway Pundit, who runs a conspiracy website, who tweeted that, quote, "Simple math shows Biden claims 13 million more votes than there were eligible voters who voted in 2020 election." Now, that is completely untrue, completely baseless, but it doesn't matter. When the president tweets it, literally millions of people believe it without even looking further. That's the real tragedy of this. Donald Trump also retweeting some of the silliest, dumbest arguments I've seen from a right-wing radio host named Kevin McCullough. For example, one with a map of the U.S. by county, which says Biden supporters seem to be really losing their minds at how angry they get when you tell them that Biden won only 16% of the counties. They get even angry about that than the fact that they are all supporting a cheater who's okay with the cheating. Now, it's hard to parse the grammar there. I read it as tweeted, but this is something that they've been pulling out frequently lately, but it's meaningless. They are arguing, well, if you just look at a list of counties, Joe Biden didn't win that many counties. But of course, most of the people are in the counties Biden did win. What the population of the United States is in the counties that Biden won disproportionately. Counties vary in geographical size. Counties vary in population. The percentage of counties you won is a meaningless metric. And in fact, they don't even seem to know this. But part of what leads to gerrymandering is the drawing of these bizarre districts in politically advantageous ways. And the fact that you have lots of counties that are geographically large with few people, when you put up a map of red and blue counties, it's a similar distortion to what we see by gerrymandering. It's similar in its nature. It's not the exact same data that is being distorted. But there are just dozens and dozens of these retweets of conspiracy theorists and others. And then this morning, Donald Trump sort of capping off a humiliating weekend of tweets with the tweet, "Big news coming out of Pennsylvania, very big illegal ballot drop that cannot be accounted for, rigged election." At least he's not calling it a massive dump anymore, but it's still just as untrue. And as many of you may know, a week ago on December 14th, every state, including Pennsylvania, had their electors vote. Pennsylvania has voted for Joe Biden with their electoral votes, and that's it. They've been teasing things like this for weeks now. Whoa, big news out of Nevada. We're about to get Nevada. Incredible what with massive dumps in Georgia. We're about to take Georgia. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. And so, at a certain point, Trump will go. We're 30 days away. We've talked about what happens to Trump's Twitter after January 20th. Right now, Donald Trump has protections on Twitter for world leaders where they are not subject to the same rules that you and I would be subject to when we tweet. It's completely plausible that after Donald Trump is no longer in power, he could be banned from Twitter, or his tweets could even be taken down. We don't know. That's more of an academic question. The big picture question is, does Trump go quietly into the sweet night and he gets out of politics and we don't hear from him anymore? Or does Trump go as far as, on the other side of this, does he go as far as announcing his 2024 campaign on the day that Joe Biden becomes president? And does he campaign for the next 4 years, which would create dramatically different media environments and dramatically different political environments for the next 4 years? We won't know, I guess, until January 20th. But that will be the biggest factor in determining what the next 4 years are going to look like.